Welcome to Tea with Tanya. I'm your host, Tanya Ambrose, an average millennial navigating life as a maternal health professional, nonprofit founder, and grad student. Join me in the tea tasting room where we spill the tea on finding balance and promoting positive living while doing it all. Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of Tea with Tanya. I am happy, this time I am really happy to be back here in the tea tasting room with you. And I'm excited for today's episode. But, last episode I spoke about transitions in life and how we're transforming and the way in which the podcast also will be transforming. So I hope you guys got a chance to listen to that episode, and I hope you are hope you're as excited as me for this new upgrade or this transformation that's taking place here in the tea tasting room for us. But I'm excited for today's episode. I have Nurse Tiffany, who's been a nurse for over 17 years. We're going to be talking about stress during the reproductive years, fertility, all these different things we can think about as a young individual going through life, whether you're someone who are trying to have a child or not, but really and truly how stress does impact our reproductive system. But before we get into today's episode, I want to share something with you. Last episode, you guys may have heard me sound a little bit, off or down. That's because I'm kind of still am. I'm going to keep it real with you. But you know what I realized? And I've realized this for a very long time. Because, music really does heals the heart to some extent, right? It may heal the heart in the moment. And then when you're not listening to the music, you got to go back to reality. But what I realized over the last several months, it doesn't matter, because if you don't know, I am a huge Beyonce fan. That's like I'm one of the presidents of the Beehive. Okay, maybe I'm a past president now, but because I don't go as hard for my girl. Like as far as like I've gotten blocked or right back in, I've been into Twitter jail on account of Beyonce and of course LeBron James. But nevertheless, I'm realizing that when I'm in a funk, the artist that really gets me out of my funk. And I've noticed this over a while now, but it just dawned on me over this past weekend when I was like crying and I was just, whew, girl, your girl was going through it, okay? When I was going through that, Pink. Something about my girl Pink, because I've been rolling with Pink since, quote unquote, she was like an R&B girly, And something about Pink, there's just never a skip. Of course, there are some songs that I'll skip if not in the mood, but something about Pink, every time I'm having a down moment or I'm in a funky mood and I want to get out, I'm going to put on some Pink. Or sometimes I'll put on a little T and Winter, which is a soca artist out of Antigua. Shout out to T and Winter, shout out to Pink. But I do listen to Pink or T and Winter when I need to get out of a funky mood. And, I just start swaying and just start singing and just feeling the vibe. And then it lifts my spirit up for a little bit. And then, I can distract myself and go on to something else. But Pink really be getting me. Like that song, Who Knew? The Sober, the Please Don't Leave Me, the what is it? Walk Me Home. Listen, like a whole catalog is what's getting me through how I'm feeling for the most part. So yes, I hope, like I said, music really does get us through some sad times, some funky times. So if there's an artist that you listen to or whatever, it could be something that you do as well. Because for me, I'm listening to music. I'm a journal, but I'm not always in the journaling mood. Or I'll put on a TV show. Like right now, I am binging The Gentleman. Is it The Gentleman? Let's see. I don't want to quote with that handsome guy. Oh, he's so handsome. Theo James. Yes, honey. I know you guys are thinking, what is wrong with Tanya? But I am watching it's called The Gentleman. It's a UK drama. I think it was produced by Guy Ritchie. But a handsome ass Theo James is in that. Oh, love it. But yes. So I'm listening to my girl Pink and my guy T and Winter. And I'm also watching The Gentleman on Netflix to try to keep me distracted to some extent. And I'm also, of course, knee deep into planning my nonprofit Scrub Life Care's upcoming event. I am going to put a link in the show notes because if you guys want to support us, donate a pack of pads, some toothpaste, whatever it is you can do, I will greatly appreciate it. So I'm definitely going to put that link here. But I wanted to share that with you that, your girl, send your girl some positive energy. But I have been relying heavily on working out, heavily on Pink, heavily on Tea and Winter, heavily on reading, and heavily on the Gentleman TV show on Netflix to really get me out of this funk. But anyway, let me stop blabbing to you. Let's just get into the episode featuring my girl, Nurse Tiffany. Well, hi, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. A little bit exhausted, but no complaints. I am just happy here in the tea tasting room, as I like to call it, and I'm fine to be in here with you.
Yay. I am so happy to be here.
Yes, I'm happy. Guys, you can't see it, but she's looking like a true queen in front of me. love it. She's giving that energy that I love. So, but yes, welcome to the tea tasting room. And we're very nosy people in here. So just tell us a little bit about yourself. Don't hold anything back. Like I said, we're nosy. We want all the tea.
All right. All right.
What you do, everything.
Okay. So about me, my name is Tiffany. I am a nurse of 17 years. I live with endometriosis. I have lived with that since I was 16. That's a whole other episode. But now, after living with endometriosis and going through COVID in 2020 and taking forever, like more than a year to heal, I started doing holistic nursing. So I healed my body with acupuncture and herbs and all the good things, mindset, everything. It's been such a journey. And so now I help women living with endometriosis, PCOS, fibroids, reproductive conditions, fertility challenges. I help them heal their bodies without painful treatments, toxic hormones, and achieve fertility if that is their desire. And I'm trying to kind of change what fertility means.
Yeah.
It doesn't always mean baby. It sometimes means just what are you birthing? Is it a book? Is it a new job? Is it a business? Is it a bae? Is it, what are you fertile for? What do you want to get fertile for? So that's in a nutshell what I do.
No, I love that because quite a few of my listeners, they're always sending me a DM or some messages on WhatsApp talking about when you're going to talk about PCOS, when you're going to talk about endometriosis, when you're going to talk about all these different things. So they're not hearing you and you're actually living that experience as well. I know they're going to absolutely love this episode.
Yes.
I want to talk about when it comes to stress before I get into even that question, because, I think many of us, myself included, at one point in time, we forget or we don't even realize that stress can be the silent killer. Because growing up, I often hear that, high blood pressure sometimes was a silent killer. We always heard that. But then as the way in which our society is going, how the world is going, stress is essentially a silent killer. And many of our young individuals, some of us are passing, which is unfortunate. But the stress levels, it's high. Like for me, like every time I think about it, I'm like, girl, I don't even know how you're surviving because I work full time. I go to grad school full time, right? That's 2. She counting, guys. I'm a nonprofit founder trying to build and expand my nonprofit. I'm a podcast host.
That's 3, 4, and 5.
Right. I'm a podcast host. I'm a doula. Like, I'm so many different things. And the list is endless. And at some point in time, sometimes I'm finding myself, because like I don't think I told you before, but I have migraine. Like at this point, I have chronic migraines. I'm having to go to the doctor. I'm having to do different procedures, all these different things to try to even eliminate the migraine. Because as far as I can remember, I've had headaches since I was probably in high school, but they weren't as severe as they are now. Like I've been to the doctor, I've gotten glasses or whatever I could possibly do to figure out what is causing my headaches. And later towards my 20s, I was diagnosed with migraines. Again, my doctor at the time, he told me, you're in school and you're doing X, Y, Z. So, you're probably stressed. Try to remove some of these things. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Because at the time I was going to undergrad, working 2 jobs. Again, still doing the most in a good way, people. When I do the most, when I say I'm doing the most, it's always something good. It's never like, it's a bad or, a taxing thing on my body, but it's always for the betterment of the community. But again, for me, as I've gotten older, since I turned 30 in the middle of the pandemic too, I'm realizing, because let me tell you this, the pandemic, 2020, even up until now, like our world as we knew it, completely different. I can't even, like sometimes I try to think back on 2015. I'm like, girl, that memory it's there, but it's like we're in I've traveled to a different time zone or time period, And so it was like over a year and a half ago now, Tiffany. I'm like, okay, I got to do something because there's no reason for me to be this young, one. And I'm dealing with migraines. And when I have a migraine, it's crippling. If you've ever had a migraine, sometimes all you can do is just lay down. You can't even do anything. And I'm like, I can't afford to not be active because, again, I have so many things that I'm doing, so many different things I'm responsible for. And then I remember TMI, but I don't care. I'm always being constipated, right? So I'm just telling the nurse all my business, but, this is how I'm trying to help you as well if you're listening, Yeah.
This is the problem because we don't talk. We don't talk. We go through things by ourselves and we don't want people to know. And we just, we think we're bothering people. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Let's normalize speaking on it.
I agree. So, I've always had constipation. So at one point, I'm like, it could be a family trait because, sisters have it sometimes, father, whatever the case may be. And we had this thing growing up because my grandmother had a guava tree. I would always be eating guava. So the more guava you eat, the more constipated you get. So like, we have to balance eating that food with water.
Okay.
But again, that I was younger, we didn't really have the understanding about how our GI system works, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm having constipation. I'm going to my doctor, and all she's telling me, take this medication, take this medication. Again, I'm not opposed, as I'm one of those persons, like, I feel like holistic health and medication, sometimes they go hand in hand. We can't do one without the other.
Absolutely.
So I'm one of those individuals who believe that. But again, I also am an individual where I don't want to have to just be tied to taking this medication without understanding what exactly is going on in my body,
Right.
And I remember arguing back and forth, trying to tell her I need an MRI, I needed something because the headaches are getting more and more intense. And then I went to a holistic practitioner. She's like, no, it could be the water that you're cooking your food with. Let's try to eliminate, let's try to, do spring water, these different things. Try that for a month. It kind of worked, but then again, I just think it's internal. So long story short is what I'm trying to say. I made an admission last year to really and truly double down when it comes to my health and wellness. And I say that because, again, I have a high stress level job. I'm in school. I am an overachiever. Again, I have big goals for my nonprofit organization. There's just so many things that's just like you, anyone listening, what we have. And then you got to think about, okay, my finances, do I have this? I'm a mom, probably going through postpartum depression, or I got to find money to buy my kid this football shoe. Because, these kids, I don't have kids, but from what I've seen and heard, there's always some activity that requires money. So there's just so many different stress as individuals in general that we go through. But when it comes to us as women, the different things that we're facing. I've had family members saying, you know what, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this diagnosis, XYZ, I'm so stressed. So I say all that to say, because I've not been rambling, but can you talk to us about the impact of stress on our reproductive health? And the reason why I'm asking you that, because more and more I'm seeing people my age or even younger are being diagnosed with PCOS. They're being diagnosed with endometriosis. They have fibroids. There are so many different things that's affecting them. And sometimes I don't think, even myself, we realize that our stress level and our body, like it goes hand in hand. Like when we talk about physical health, when we talk about mental health, yes, sometimes we say see a therapist. That's good as well, don't get me wrong. But sometimes we don't realize how the stress and our immune system, our bodies, how it goes hand in hand. So explain to us, for those listening who are, you're of reproductive age or whatever it is, how can stress really and truly impact our reproductive system?
So the first thing I want to start off by saying is if you do have a condition that and it's stress related, give yourself some grace. It's not completely your fault, Just start looking for ways to manage your stress. There are a couple different ways, but if you can imagine that you have a balloon, you put a stone inside of a balloon and then you blow the balloon up. So now you have the stone inside the balloon and then the balloon is all around it. The balloon is stressed. So inside your body, just think about that pebble or that stone being a receptor on a nerve. Think about it being the things in your stomach that absorb your food and your nutrients. Think about it that way. You cannot get to the stone unless you deal with the inflammation. So if you don't deal with it, then you can take all the vitamins in the world.
Listen.
You can do all of that, but it's not going to make a difference because you can't get the nutrients and what you need where it needs to go. That's the first thing. So if you can think about it like that and picture it, that's basically what's happening. So when I think of stress, to me, stress is inflammation, period.
Speaking that,
Period. It's inflammation, period. There are different types of stress. There are different reasons for stress, but it all boils down to inflammation. So we are hella inflamed, like nobody's business as a society. And even myself, like I've checked my labs, I can feel now, like I've just done so much work. Like now I know when I'm inflamed, I'm like, all right, you need to rein it back in.
Yeah.
Because, so if your body is inflamed, then the first thing, our bodies are incredibly, incredibly, incredibly intelligent. So if you are trying to get pregnant or you are trying to lose weight or you are trying to do any of these things, like live your life, your body is like, no, we are so inflamed. The only thing that I'm going to do as your body is protect you and protect me. So your body's in a protection mode. So if you're trying to get pregnant and you're inflamed, your body's like, no, this is not the playground. This is not good soil for that. So it's not going to happen. And if it does happen, then, there may be some things along the line that, that can occur.
Right.
But that's one of the, unfortunately, one of the things. So people are like, well, how do I manage stress? How do I do that? I encourage people to look at diet. That's the first thing. The number one offender, sugar, follow closely. So number one, and then 1B and C, dairy and gluten.
Ooh, speak on that, honey. Yeah.
Am I saying that you can't have dairy or gluten? That's not what I'm saying. But you spoke about balance when you talked about the guava.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a balance. And so if you have a goal to get pregnant or get rid of these migraines or so, it may take some hardcore, cutting, cutting of some things to be able to get there. But that's the first thing. Diet, the elimination diet is really good. Some things that you think are good for you are not. For instance, I follow a blood type diet.
Ooh, tell us more. Go ahead.
So my acupuncturist that I see started me on this years ago, and I am blood type O.
Okay.
And so O positive. And so with my blood type, I can have lots of meat. I can have lots of vegetables and things, but avocados and cucumbers specifically are on my avoid list. Doesn't mean I can't have them, but they're avoid. And when I eat avocado and cucumbers, endo flares. And
Ooh.
I noticed that before I even did the diet. I was like, I'm eating avocados and it just makes my stuff like just
Wow. So you say a blood type diet.
Blood type diet. It's called the blood type diet, Dr. Diamo, D''AMO, Dr. Diamo.
Because I have heard about eating for your blood type, but again, I didn't know, which is, sometimes in my head, I'm like, I'm supposed to know it all, but I don't know it all. But I've seen, I think I've seen it on, you need to be eating food according to your blood type, but I didn't know there was actually like an actual test you can do for that. Because one of the things that I did recently, to be honest, is because I said I'm on this health and wellness journey. I know sometimes I'm an overthinker, and when you're an overthinker, that equals to being stressed, and when you're an overachiever, it's just so many different things. And again, on the journey, because I often say in the podcast that I'm priming my body for pregnancy. When that's going to happen, I don't know, but I want to get to a place where I'm healthy, I'm living at my best self. So when that time comes, if it comes, like I refer to my body as a car. So if my check engine light is on, if I need tire in my air in my tire is on, if I need whatever gas light is on, whatever it is, change the engine oil. If it's not working, then my body can't. If I'm not getting the rest, and we'll talk about that because me and rest. I'm telling you about rest, but do I get the rest? That's another story. But again, just trying to, because I often say I've been on this journey. I'm since 2015, but I'm not perfect. In 2015, I was what, 25? 25-year-old me and 33-year-old me are two totally different people in general. The way I think, the way I look, just in general. And so I've fallen on and off. But for the last year and a half, I said, no, I cannot continue to live my life not being in tune with my body. I cannot say I'm believing in certain things, but at the same time, I'm going against what that belief is, So I took it upon myself to do an allergy test. Because like I said, I didn't know that the blood test was a thing. I was like, what? I said, okay, I spoke to I said, what? I need to figure out what's causing these headaches. Why am I always constipated? Why am I always bloated? I'm like, I'm trying to get this body snatched, honey, I just need to know, at least, because if I'm going to have a little stomach, then I'm okay with it, but I just need to know why, at least that. If I'm going to have it, because one thing about me, I don't care. I'm not the kind of person that, I need to be 100 pounds or whatever. Like, no, I'm comfortable in my skin. But at the same time, if I'm going to be seeing something that's going to be looking abnormal, I need to know what's the root of that. And I did an allergy test. And I think they did it for like food. Because I think I did it after you and I had a conversation about this episode, like back in November. I was like, okay, something got to give, because it wasn't making sense. And I did the test back in January and had the reading a couple of weeks ago. And basically they're like, oh, you're fine. Because I thought I was allergic to gluten or something. They said, you have no allergy to nothing. No, again, I'm still not convinced, to be honest, but that's their opinion. Because when I did that allergy test, if I can be transparent, when I did it, because I forgot the name of that medication, but I take this particular medication for my migraine because I got two. And one is Ubrevity.
Sumatriptan?
Huh?
Sumatriptan?
It's called amitriptyline. So,
Amitriptyline.
yes. So I take Ubrevely for when the headache is actually here and I can't do anything. I take the Ubrevely, which is very expensive. But thank the Lord for insurance, and even then.
Huh.
But then the amitriptyline, no, I have to take every night. However, again, I have a 9 to 5 pretty much. Usually when I get home from that 9 to 5, I'm working on my nonprofit. I'm working on maybe planning something with the podcast, or I'm working on schoolwork. Because I mean, that one thing again, that comes first. But however, the amitriptyline, it makes me drowsy. So it makes me drowsy. So which means if I take it at 7 o'clock, by 7:15, I'm out.
Right.
If I got homework to do, like, my nonprofit and podcast stuff, I can always move around, but I really do not play when it comes to my schoolwork. So I haven't been consistent, honestly, with taking that particular medication because, again, I have work to do. But because the migraines has becoming so, like, every day at this point, they're lasting, I have now resorted to one, right. I have now resorted to taking the amitriptyline nightly, like prescribed, but also, don't judge, but also I'm using it as a sleeping aid because I promise you, me and sleep, we're not friends anymore. Like, for some reason, it's not like I don't want to go to sleep, but the mind is gonna think what it want to think. And then, you're always stressing about something. But again, I said that to say, when I did the allergy test, apparently I was supposed to stop taking the amitriptyline 14 days before the allergy test. No one told me that.
Well, I wonder why.
Because it's an antihistamine apparently or something. So they said it has an effect on
have reacted.
Right. But they didn't tell me that. So when the lady was doing the skin test and she's like, when did you stop this med? I said, huh? Stop what? I said I took it. Well, to be fair, I didn't take it that night, but I took it the night before consistently because that night I just ended up falling asleep before any of my alarms went on to take the medication. And so I was like, and I took it the night before. She's like, oh, okay, because, your skin is not really reacting or whatever. So then I'm like, okay, do I have to do it over? Do I need to come back in 2 weeks' time? Because, again, in my mind, it has to be something that's triggering the migraine or the constipation. She's like, no, let me go call the doctor. And he said no. Anyway, long story short, did the reading then. Oh, it turns out I'm fine at this point in time. But I'm still not convinced. So I'm here stressing now. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm stressing because, again, I'm too young. I want to be able to live a life that I am living a life that I can enjoy, but pain-free. Like I say, every morning when I wake up and I'm pain-free, I say, thank you, Lord, because I am pain-free. Like right now, my gratitude is just towards being pain-free. Absolutely. Like I'm grateful for life, I'm grateful for food, but any morning I can get up and be pain-free. It's good. So again, I'm set out to say, I'm stressing again because I'm trying to minimize or reduce my stress, but then constantly thinking about, okay, what could be causing this migraine? I went as far as I also advocated for myself. I went as far as like getting a colonoscopy done. When I told my therapist, she's like, "Girl, how old are you?" I said, "I know," but I said, I said that's how extreme I am right now with my little situation that's going on in my body.
I don't think you're extreme. I think you want answers.
Right.
And that is perfectly within your right. You want answers. So with the gluten, you may not react to it. The dairy, you may not react to it, but what it does inside the body is just inflammation. So you might be able to eat ice cream or butter or whatever the case may be and have no issues with it, but we call it the silent killer because it's doing something silently on the inside. If somebody who has lactose intolerance has dairy, that's not silent. They're going to get bubble guts. They're going to, be on the toilet. They may vomit. So that's not silent. It's the other stuff that happens on the back end. And I will say this, not to knock anybody's process or anything, but when I eat gluten, not in this country,
hey,
I have no problem.
Tiffany, listen, I'm sorry. Guys, I know we're getting into the episode, but we got to keep it real here. Let me tell you this. Listen to me. When I say this, and I'm often mindful, I'm like, you know what? I'm an immigrant. I'm living in this country. I don't want to ever come across as ungrateful. But whenever I'm home in Antigua, Tiffany, I have no migraine. If I have a migraine, it's on account of me. I'm the reason why I get the migraine. But when I'm home in Antigua, I have no migraine. There's no constipation. It's like I'm lighter. I'm just good. My energy is just high. Yeah. If I go anywhere else in the world, it's the same thing. But the minute I am back here in the US, living my day, going about my every regular day life, it's like the normalcy that I experience back home or wherever else, it lasts for a few days because it's like still in my body. Like, oh, maybe
Right.
my mind thinks I'm still in Antigua or something.
Absolutely.
But after a week, I am back to being bloated. I am back. It's like it's so crazy, and that's why I decided to do all these tests because I'm like, okay, some gotta get because it doesn't make sense that when I'm away,
Right.
I'm feeling the way I'm feeling because then when I'm here eating the food, that's why I even try to change my diet as well because I'm like, you know what, something has got to give because I don't know if it's the food, how it's being prepared here versus back home where things are natural or I can at least know where my food is coming from because here in the US, not everything is regulated.
Yeah.
So I'm just I'm just really happy you said that because I thought I was crazy.
No. So what I tell people, so like in my program, what I try to tell people is stress is going to happen. You can't help that. It's inevitable, right? But what you can do is have things in your arsenal to be able to deal with the stress. So if that means setting an alarm on your phone a few times a day to just stop and deep breathe 2 minutes. If you don't, 2 minutes, 60 seconds, whatever, you will be surprised how just breathing will reset your whole nervous system.
A simple breath.
Find time to do the things that you like to do. Go for a walk. Take a bath. If you have kids, sit in that bathroom, lock that door, and tune them out for just a few minutes. Like I don't have kids, so I come home. It's just me. So it's easier for me. But I feel like being busy is relative. We're all busy in different ways. So just because I don't necessarily have a family or anything like that, it doesn't mean that I don't experience stress at the same levels, as someone else who may have a different situation. So that's the first thing. Don't compare your situation to anyone else's. If you're stressed out, you're stressed out. If you got a lot going on, you have a lot going on because you may not have a lot going on physically, but up here, that's another thing. And a lot of us need to heal from all types of things. And if you are a person of color living in this country, you automatically by default have something that you need to heal from.
Listen.
Period.
No, that is so true because we don't often think, we just think that, like for me, I shouldn't be stressing about what I'm going to wear tomorrow. But I do want to ask though, just from a general standpoint, like what are things, and I'm not sure even sure you can answer that, but what are some things that we can say really, really brings on any sort of stress in our lives? Because again, for me, how I am, I could be stressing about not being able to find a sock. Like this morning, I was getting ready to go to work. I'm like, where's my favorite sock? I only found one foot, and I was up and down from the washroom to the bedroom to the bathroom, trying to find that one. Right. And I'm like, Tanya, you could just simply get another pair and keep it moving. But sometimes something so minute.
No, I wanted this pair of socks. Now I'm stressed out because I can't find it. Now where is it?
Right.
Where's the pair?
Well, you made a point about everybody's situation is different. But what are some common stress factors you think we face, especially as a woman, or during, even if you're not a woman, but as during the reproductive years? What are some common stress factors we may tend to face?
And I feel like when I name these are perpetuated by the society that we live in. So finances. And if that's not an issue for you, great. But body image, finding a potential partner, having children, the aging process itself, not having enough, like feeling like you don't have enough time in the day to get everything done. Like and I am so guilty of this, y'all. When I say things, it's because I do it. I have done it, so no judgment at all. I'm speaking from experience. We don't live in the moment. And it's so hard because you know that tomorrow you got this and next week you have this and you've got this and this and this, but that takes us outside of being in the moment and that creates more stress.
I am guilty of that.
And then we think about things that haven't even happened, and the way that I try, and sometimes they don't even happen. Like we stress about stuff that hasn't even happened yet, and a lot of times, does it happen?
Nope.
No. So what I'm trying to do is think about, and people are like, oh, it's in the past, but no, sometimes you need to bring that past forward and remember when I stressed about A, B, and C? you know what? It didn't even turn out that way. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be more positive about this situation.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a backup plan. If it does not go the way that I need to go, I don't know what anybody's faith is or whatever, but whatever higher power you believe in, take that into account and be like, if it didn't happen, that means it either wasn't supposed to or it's not supposed to happen yet.
Yeah.
So I went through fertility challenges, a failed IVF cycle, like 2 failed, one IVF and one IUI. So fertility cycle. So coming to the realization like, okay, it just wasn't meant to be. But that doesn't mean meant to be at all. Maybe he wasn't the right person. He's a great person, but we're no longer married. So maybe he wasn't the person that I was, you know? So, and then also coming to terms with, okay, if it doesn't happen, then that's not my journey.
Right.
You know, seeing everything as a journey, I think helps me as well. There's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows, there's going to be some bumps. In between. But what I try to do is flow. Like, just how can I flow through these situations? And since 2020, life has life. Like, I felt like I was being drugged by the gums by life, like a lot of times. And it's kind of like, oh my gosh. Like, and I think back and I'm like, I made it.
Oof, yes.
And my mental and my spiritual and my physical, for the most part, are intact. And that is such a blessing. So count your wins. Start by counting your wins. You woke up this morning, you have a roof over your head, you have food on your table, you have
gas in your car.
Faculties. Yeah, you have all your faculties. Even if you do have pain, you may have had less pain today than you had yesterday. Guess what? That is a win.
I'm telling you.
Win. And some people try to say, well, tomorrow I might, nope, tomorrow's not here. So we're not going to think about that yet. We're not going to think about that.
I gotta take that advice because I'm talking to you, but today my mind is in May. My mind is not even in the month of March.
I'm saying, like, I just want to be present in March 11th. Be present in March, and I have plans, but you know, it's okay to plan. I'm not saying don't plan. I'm not saying that, but when you get to the point where it's stressful, take a step back. And there are also, listen,
speak on it, honey.
There are some things and some bodies that we need to release. I'm talking, if it's your mama.
Speak, Nurse Tiffany, yes.
If it's mama, take a step back. I'm not telling anybody to be disrespectful or anything. What I'm telling you to do is take hold of your own peace.
Yes.
That's it. And I feel like peace is the antidote to stress.
I feel that way too.
So if you need to not talk to this person and send them a voicemail, or just don't answer the phone and send them a text, hey, I'll call you back later.
Or mute them.
Do it. Or mute, block. What? Like, look, I went on a blocking bender like a month ago.
No, I went on a mute.
Sorry, not sorry.
You went on a blocking. I went on a mute because I'm not that mature yet to block. You know, I'm still a bit nosy sometimes. I just did the muting part of it.
This was like personal, like on the phone, block.
Yeah.
Block.
You're funny. So you mentioned about, having a failed IVF and IUI. If you want to speak in that briefly, but also for those who may not know what is an IVF or IUI, because we hear terms all the time, but sometimes people may not understand what that is. So you can talk about that, and then we'll go into fertility.
Okay. IUI is intrauterine insemination. So that's basically where they don't harvest the egg. You basically go through the period. They give you medication to help you like develop a follicle, and then they take the male sperm and basically put it where it needs to go. And then the rest happens on its own. With IVF, the eggs, like you're given medicine, your injections in your belly, the eggs are taken out. They are put with the sperm, they do their thing, and then once they are fertilized, they give you back the egg, and hopefully it implants and then turns into a pregnancy. That's what that is. So I went through those. Looking back on it, even though I was doing acupuncture and I think I was in a good place, aside from the fact that it just wasn't supposed to happen, the medicine that they gave me flared my endo so bad. So I feel like even though I was doing all of the things on the outside, I couldn't help what was happening on the inside, because this is the same medicine that they're giving me to give me what I'm asking for, which is a baby.
Yeah.
So That's why I say we have to be very cognizant of what we ingest, what we put in our bodies. And a lot of times we can't help it. We don't know where our food's coming from. If you can, try to buy organic as often as possible, which I think as a whole, it should all be organic. Like they don't have organic in other countries. They don't.
Right. No, that is true.
And if not organic, try non-genetically modified. And we can get in, like if we do another, we can get into all of that.
Yeah.
But I feel like going back to your headaches and the stress, I have seen the miracles that modern medicine, that, the healthcare, I have seen the miracles that they work. So I have no doubt that it's here for a reason and it helps people. I just want people to realize how self-sufficient they can be without relying so much on that. Let's teach people how to fish instead of just giving them fish. What is the root cause of your headaches?
Right.
So I do comprehensive blood work analysis, and I just had a client, and she was so anemic that I was like, you might need a blood transfusion. Like, why has nobody picked up on it? Like, there were other things in her lab work that the doctors just didn't pick up on because I'm looking at it from a different lens. Not because they did a bad job or malpractice. Just functional medicine looks at things from a different lens. And instead of saying, oh, you're constipated, take this stool softener. Why are you constipated? Is it because you've eaten too much dairy? Have you had too much fiber? Are you eating something that your body's just inflamed? Are you drinking enough water? It could be, sometimes it's as simple as that. But I feel like instead of asking those questions all the time, it's more of, okay, well, here, take this. Here, take this. And I think for simple things, we need to teach people how to eat, and let's teach people what things do in their body, what do foods do, and I'm trying to tie this back into stress. Your body is under stress when you get a cold. Your body is under stress when you are tired. Your body is under stress when, you're constantly thinking about things like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this. Because when our minds run, when our minds are running, that's stress. And it manifests itself in different ways in the body, period.
No, that is true. And I'm starting to realize that as well. When I'm overly stressed to the point, I'm like, I can't even stress. It's gonna happen. If I can't control it, then I'm gonna have to just whisper a prayer and then keep it moving. Because I have put myself under so much stress sometimes, looking back, as you say, for no reason. And then it makes me wonder if it's having an effect on other parts of my body, but I'm now realizing, I'm now learning, because I also can't depend on my doctors also to figure everything out. I have to be able to advocate for myself. Only I know how I feel in my body, which is why I'm like, what? We're going to have to figure this out. And then when I went to see that specialist for the colonoscopy, she was like, okay, you told me. One thing I will say, she was very, very thorough, because I was even surprised she even suggested the colonoscopy. And she's like, are you open to that? I'm like, ma'am, I'm just trying to get some answers, honey. Like, well, if you think I need to, then you go right ahead, because this is the most I've even gotten from any of my healthcare provider as far as all the other issues I was having. And she's like, okay, well, she ran her test, she did X, Y, Z, and she said, no, this is what we're going to do. Because again, I felt so validated then, because I'm like, wow, for the last however long now, I keep asking, what can I do? Because I cannot go through life with migraines. I cannot go through life consistently being constipated or all these issues. I can't,
It's debilitating.
It is. But I want to talk about fertility as it relates. I know you mentioned earlier about it could be birth and X, Y, Z, but I want to talk about fertility first as it relates to how stress plays a role in fertility, not only in women, but men. And the reason why I say that, because sometimes as women, we tend to place the blame for everything on us, for getting pregnant, for having endometriosis, for having PCOS, for probably taking longer to get pregnant. Everything. Society makes it seem like as a woman, we are, first of all, you want to take away our rights. Let's talk about that, but it's not a story too. You already want to take away our rights. Yet still, you want to take away our rights, but then the blame is still on us sometimes when, you're married for 10 years. Why don't you have a child? Or the minute you get married, when are you having a baby? Or all these questions. They keep asking, we don't often think. As I remember, to be honest, just the other day,
that's right.
A couple of weeks ago, when I was on one of my most bloated days, I was given 5 months pregnant, I'll be honest.
My belly does the same thing.
Okay.
So,
I was
yeah.
given 5, 6 months pregnant the way I looked, and I was at the gym working out, and I posted a picture from, on my Instagram story because I'm trying to document my whole journey on my health and wellness journey. And someone replied to my DM, is that what I think they basically were alluding that I was pregnant. I can't remember the exact words that they said, and they alluded to, oh, you're pregnant. I said, girl, no, it's just I'm just bloated, honey. But I said, because I mean, well, the one thing about me, you're not gonna let me feel some type of way. 'Cause I know my stomach is big, and I can do it. I'm trying to figure it out. But it took me back to, again, when I was younger. Sometimes I will see somebody who maybe be more heavy set, or they may have a little stomach, and we automatically think, oh, you're pregnant, XYZ. When I was living in New Jersey and I had to take public transportation, I don't know if it's a rule down in the South where I am because I don't take the bus. I have a car now. But when I was living up in New Jersey and we were on the bus, the front seats of the bus were always reserved for, the elderly or any individual who's pregnant, or if you have a kid or whatever. And this is where I learned my lesson, actually, never again. So I saw a young lady. She was coming in the bus, and her stomach looked like, essentially, she was pregnant. So me being me, I got up and to tell her to have a seat. She's like, "No, I'm fine. I'm not pregnant." Let me tell you, the level of embarrassment. Because again, I was judging. I'm gonna take accountability.
Right.
I was assuming rather. So I said that to say that sometimes society places the blame on women. Oh, you can't get pregnant. It's never the husband or the partner or whatever it is. Nope. It's never their fault. It's always us as a woman. So I want to talk about how stress can really affect fertility in both men and women.
Let's start with a cycle. We have a cycle, and that cycle is governed by a hormone. If your body is inflamed, let's say everything producing the hormones is fine, but when your hormones get to where they need to go, if you are inflamed, remember that balloon with the stone in it?
That's it.
If you are inflamed, that could completely... Again, an egg is not, like a fertilized egg is not going to implant in an environment that is not ready. It's just not going to happen. Could you go to the desert and think that you were going to plant, a crop of tomatoes or corn or what? No.
Some peppers, no.
Because it's not, like, that soil's not nourished. It has a purpose for where it is, but it's not nourishing for the purpose that you want.
I like that.
So it's incredibly important to make sure that you're nourishing the soil. And listen, head, heart, pelvic connection is real. So another thing, inflammation, grief.
Oof.
Not dealing with things, not, avoidance, not dealing with things and just thinking, just pushing it down, not releasing. That is all contributing to inflammation. So when you talk about inflammation, yes, food is one thing. Yes, like outside factors is something else, but let's look within as well. Like, let's look at the heart. Let's look at your mindset. Let's look at all those things. If you're negative all the time.
Ooh, yes, honey.
What do you think?
and I want to say before you continue, because sometimes when we say negative, we just think that, there's levels to being negative. So if you could be thinking, oh yeah, I want to have a baby. So you're trying, you're optimistic and you're positive about that. But then if your mind is negative about something else, to me, I think it connects, because I can't be positive about you, Tiffany, and then be negative about somebody else over here and then think that it's going to work. It's like, no. So I think...
You know what that is? I hate to say it, but that's almost like hypocrisy, because I apply it over here, but not over here. It's the same thing. And it's a journey. It's not an overnight process. It's not an over month, over year. Like, this is a journey. It is a journey. And I would also like to stop and applaud all of the doctors, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, anybody that is working with clients and you are actually doing your due diligence to get to the problem. Thank you. Thank you so much, because I know that some of your listeners may be dealing with PCOS or endometriosis, and PCOS is hard to diagnose.
Yeah,
you can look at lab work and get a diagnosis for PCOS, but with endometriosis, it's surgery. That is the only way that insurance will cover it. If you have had surgery and a surgeon writes that, evidence of endometriosis, that is the only way. So for those practitioners. Thank you for the caregivers that are taking care of people who are, who are debilitated by these conditions.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I just had to say that. Going back to, so like you were saying, why aren't you pregnant? The questions, that's stress in itself.
Okay.
And I feel like even if nobody asks you the questions, the society that we have been brought up in, we are made to think once you get to 30 and you're 30 and you don't have kids, or you're 30 and you're not married, and
one time, you're on the gerontology, you're geriatric pregnancy.
Geriatric pregnancy. Oh, you know what? That word needs to just be burned. Like,
I agree.
That infuriates me to no end, because it is incredibly possible to be well into your 40s and have a healthy pregnancy. That is possible. It is so possible. It's not been the norm, because here's the thing. We have evolved as a society, but our thinking has not.
Hey, Tiffany, let me tell you this. I'm sorry.
You can sit here and you can tell me IVF.
Yes.
You're still telling me I'm Jerry. I'm still. So we need to get out of the mindset that was made when people weren't doing what we're doing. Women didn't have careers. Women, and if they did, it was few and far between. So let's come out of that era and put a mindset on where we are right now. We're not getting married at the age that we were. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. What I'm saying is we're waiting, and we're okay with that. So everybody else does not have to be okay. But as long as you are okay with where you are, then this is your message to drown out all of the noise. Drown out the noise, because that is stress. We think about that day in and day out. Oh my gosh, I was so stressed. I remember when I was going through it. I was so stressed. Why isn't it happening? Oh, I really want to give him a baby. And you take all of that on, and it's just stacked on your shoulders.
No, I'm gonna be honest. I mentioned on the podcast talking about, preparing my body for pregnancy, but I'm like, okay, girl, no, you're turning 34 this year. What's going on? We have no prospects, But at the same time, because I know, I'm like, you know what? No, I'm taking the necessary steps now, intentionally, for what is, I'm 40 or 45, until they tell me, you know what, Tanya, let's just wrap it up, then that's fine. But again, that's why, so I'm starting from the mind, I just say come to the heart, everything else, because I'm trying to incorporate or breathe that positive energy in, or what I want for my body. Because sometimes we don't realize, to me, life and death really and truly is in the power of the tongue. Like the things that we speak. And I've gotten to a point where I would say positive things outwardly, but then my thoughts weren't always positive, if I can be honest. And I got to a point, like almost 2 years, I say, no, I can't. I say I'm being a hypocrite right now, like you said. I say I'm over here trying to uplift people and be all this positive person. And then what I'm saying out is not matching what's in my head. And let me tell you, Tiffany, the minute I learned, mind you, I knew all this before, but sometimes you got to learn the hard way. But but the minute I had to learn that lesson the hard way, when I tell you that if I catch myself saying something also negative, I have to go ahead right away and try to recorrect it. Because I say no, I can't. I say this is not. I say I understand. It may not be how I feel sometimes, but I have to really push through, work through that feeling to get to a place where I can have that positive thought. Because there's no way. Like I really do try to live a life where, you know what, okay, I'm gonna have this baby. Like with my clients, when we say we're gonna breathe this baby out, we're gonna do it. Oh, I'm scared. And again, if you want to be scared when you're giving birth, again, I can't tell you not to be scared, because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Right. We get that. But again, the mindset. Like I was at a birth the other day, and this young lady, and she was a PCOS individual. So I want you to talk about that when we're done. And so she got pregnant. So she was happy, and I'm like, okay, we went through the stages X, Y, Z, and she was like, oh, no, I can't. I say, see, that's the problem. I said, we can't have a I can't mentality. I say, you said you have PCOS. You didn't even know, because they don't told you that, oh, you know what, I can't get pregnant, because, as soon as somebody have endo or PCOS, we had to rewrite them off.
Look, that's another thing. I'm going to interject here.
Speak on it, because I want you to.
Listen. No provider, no person, not me, not Tanya. Nobody can tell you what your body is supposed to do. Nobody can tell you what's going to happen on your journey. So for all the people, just get pregnant, it'll cure your endometriosis, or you can't get pregnant because you have endo, or you can't get pregnant because you have PCOS. That is noise. It is garbage. And I need for you to know that is so far from the truth. But if you think it, that's what it is.
This is so a man think it, so is he, we really have to. And I know sometimes it's very cliche, Tiffany, for us to say, oh, I think positive thought, but it really is the truth. You have to call these good things into your life. You can't expect me to call it in for you. I mean, I'm going to, you're going to, but then if you as the individual that I'm trying to call something good for and you're not believing it, then it's going to be a blockage. It is going to be a blockage. But I want to touch briefly again, and I guess we can tie it into even in general. But for individuals who are, because I got to talk to my endo and PCOS girlies because they've been harassing me to have this episode.
Hello.
But for individuals who are struggling with, I don't want to say struggle, but they're experiencing or living with PCOS and endometriosis, or even fibroids, other fertility issues. The first thing they often say is lifestyle change, which of course we all know anything that we want to do is a lifestyle change. But I know individuals personally, Tiffany, who are experiencing these things. One, they're not getting enough answers. I know an individual who, one, they're bleeding consistently, then they're told to go on birth control. And I also know that sometimes, I had this conversation earlier, when the first thing sometimes they want to prescribe is, go on birth control, especially when it comes to PCOS. Now, for me personally, again, the choice is yours. Like I told you one time, I say, no, I'm on birth control because I know, it's like I know what I want for my life at this point in time. I don't want to be in a position that I didn't plan for, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So I'm at the point, if I want to be off, I can be off. That's my choice. If I want to be on, so I never essentially I'm going to point fingers at somebody, because again, I think medication and holistic health, they go hand in hand. However, what I've found, and with the individuals who I know, the first thing is, to go on birth control. And that's all they're given. Whatever test they run, you have PCOS, let's go on birth control. There's nothing else. Some will sprinkle in the lifestyle changes. Don't get me wrong, because I had a guest on here, a young lady, very beautiful, she had she was diagnosed with endometriosis at one point in time. And it turns out it wasn't endometriosis, it was something else, and I cannot remember the term that she told me. But for also all her life, but she thought they told her that it was endo, and so she was trying to do things essentially to work on curing or whatever she could do. But I want you to talk, being that you are living the experience also, but you work with individuals who are told, okay, I have PCOS, I have endo, let me go on birth control to cure this. But then one, they may not want to go on birth control, or two, they get on birth control and then there's just no different, there's no change. So for those listening to my girlies, my people out here who've been harassing Tea with Tanya, you need to talk about PCOS, you need to talk about this, I want Tiffany to briefly just tell us again what we can do, as you say, to cure or just to have a life where we don't think that our life is over. Because you know what, here I am, I can have a baby, I'm married, or I have a partner, we're trying, and it's just taking longer. Things happen when it's supposed to happen, yes. But you're trying exercise thinking, you know what, I have PCOS, but let's just try and see what happens. I hope for the best. So the mindset already is just that you feel like you're defeated, or it's already working against you. So for those who are dealing with endometriosis, PCOS, you may not get the answer. You don't even know what to ask your doctor. Just talk to us so we can know what we're doing.
Okay, so
I know I said a lot.
Okay, so I like to start with the mind, and get me on track if I go after. I like to start with the mind. So you having this is not a curse. I know it sometimes feels like it, but this is a story. This is your story. Make it one where people are going to learn from what you're going through. So just know that just because you are going through this does not define you. It does, but it does not. It defines you because you are writing your own story. All of us are different. We all have a unique story. And somebody's going to learn. And people are watching you. People see you and they watch you when you don't. They're watching and listening. So that's the first thing. So don't think of it as, oh gosh, I have endo, or I have this. And change the wording. So I used to say I have endo. Now I say I live with it. I don't necessarily personalize it. I live with it, but I don't give it that power. I don't capitalize the E. I don't, I just don't give it that power. So that's the mindset. Now, as far as the body, diet is huge also, because we know, especially with PCOS and endometriosis, we can put adeno in there too. It's hormonal. PCOS is hormonal. Endo can be fed by hormones. So what I did was I really looked at what I was putting on my body, because a lot of the detergents, lotions, cosmetics, they have what we call xenoestrogens in them. Now, hormones aren't bad for you. It's a problem when you can't clear them. It's a problem when you don't have enough of them. So that's the problem. So if you have enough hormone, but now in your cosmetics or your, detergent, now you're being exposed to more hormones than you need to. So that's another thing to watch, what you put on your body, put in your body. I know I do not support one diet versus the other, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, whatever you choose. I do encourage plant-based. So like lots of plants. If you choose to eat meat, whatever that is, then that's fine. But just do a diet that works for you. I went vegan for about 2 months and it was great at first. And then I just got really bad headaches. And then I found out about the blood type diet and meat worked. It just worked better for me.
Yeah.
So that's one example. Have an allergy test done to make sure you're not eating something that's not necessarily agreeing with you, because that can cause a lot of digestive upset. It can cause a lot of headaches. Have your labs checked with your provider. And if everything seems fine, but you still don't feel like you just don't feel okay, have another talk with your provider. And I always say, date your doctor. If you are dating someone and they're not giving you what you need, then
time to move on.
That person? You don't. So date your doctor. If you're not getting what you need from your provider, find someone else. Get online. There are so many forums and, people from all over, that Facebook groups and everything, that you'll be able to find somebody to help you. I am a huge, huge, huge advocate for holistic therapy. And I put yoga in there, yoga, meditation, huge, acupuncture for all reproductive conditions. It does not matter what you are living with, all of them, acupuncture. I did Chinese herbal medicine, which between that and pelvic floor therapy, this is another thing. I had to change how I worked out. I cannot lift as heavy as I used to. So I had to drop down my weight and just do more reps. So I used to do body pump and all that stuff. So I can't body pump anymore, but I just had to find workouts that were better for my new me. And your body is going to change. It's going to be different. It may be different from 25 to 30, 30 to 35. After 40, your body will change. So don't think you did something wrong. Just readjust.
Yeah.
Life is just about readjusting. If something comes at you, okay, let's readjust and hit it head on. So that's another thing. Find the time to take care of you. So what you put in your body, what you put in your mind, and what you put in your spirit. I love crystals. I pray, I love God. I love crystals. So to me, you don't have to separate anything. There are lots of crystals that I prescribe to my clients. So if you are anything reproductive, rose quartz, get you some rose quartz, put it in your pocket, meditate with it, because that's really, really good for the reproductive system. I do a lot of work with essential oils, a lot of work. So I sometimes customize a blend for my clients. And I'll tell you, hey, diffuse some of this, make some, put some of this in, some castor oil or whatever the case may be, and, put it on your belly. So there are different modalities that you can use in conjunction with your birth control or whatever you choose.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe in our right to choose. So whatever method you are on, find a practitioner that is willing to say, hey, okay, that's fine. Like one of my doctors, I said, after my surgery, I don't want to go on birth control. That was just my choice.
Yeah.
Because I knew how it made me feel. And she said, okay, no problem.
It's your right to choose. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the types of people that you need on your team. And if you have a doctor that's going to say, well, if you don't, this and this and this.
We need to reevaluate because
that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Another thing, if you are in your 20s, if you plan to wait, which, first of all, I am so proud of those that have the foresight to be able to say that, especially if you're younger, like in your 20s, especially like early to mid 20s, even late 20s, before 30, if you have the foresight to know, no, I want to wait, have that talk with your doctor about fertility preservation. So that might mean you going through something kind of like IVF, but you're just harvesting and freezing your eggs.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
I wish someone had given me that option. I really do. But given how my story went, I can see why it was not offered. But for a lot of people, that option it's not even an option.
Yeah.
Think about preserving your fertility, whether that means freezing your eggs or whatever the case may be, and have that conversation with your doctor, because I think it's so important, because once your fertility is gone or decreases, a lot of people like to write you off.
Okay.
A lot of people like to write you off and make you feel like it's not going to happen. So if they do, that's fine. And again, it may be your journey. You may be able to produce a child. You may not be able to have a child. It just all depends. But you want a practitioner that is going to help you and encourage you and heal you to the best of their ability, so that when that does come, if that is your journey, you're able to do that.
And I want to point out, because, sometimes, there's just some people in this world who just don't want to even have kids. So when we're talking about stress or even the lifestyle changes when it comes to our reproductive life, it could just be sometimes you have a heavy period, you have painful period, all these things, essentially, they're not normal. So you want to be able to be in tune with your body, so you can
Absolutely.
you can remove or eliminate that stress, or actually find out what's causing me to have a heavy flow for 8 days every time, or why am I having all these cramps. Of course, all these things again could lead to underlying issues, again, like the PCOS, the endometriosis, the fibroids. But again, it's not everyone who are going through the reproductive years may want to produce a child. So sometimes I think we got to make sure we put that out there, because, they end up feeling pressured. It's like, no, that's your choice. Like she mentioned,
that is your choice.
You have that right to choose.
Makes you abnormal for not wanting.
Yeah.
Children, especially as someone who was born female.
Yeah.
It does not make you abnormal to not want kids. That is your choice. And I don't know if I can cuss, but
go ahead. Say what you gotta say.
Look, respectfully, if they can't respect your decision, no matter what it is, fuck them.
Simple.
That's the quickest release that I know. Like, release them.
That's facts.
It's like we don't
go together. We can.
Woman to woman, I am going to always ride for women. That is one thing I am going to always do. Your feelings are valid. Your decisions are valid. And don't let anybody tell you that they're not. The only time that I would question is if it was in harm to you or someone else.
Right.
And usually that is not even the case.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because as we wrap up, because I want to talk about what you do as well. But one of the questions that I want to ask as we get ready to wrap up is, we talk about stress during the reproductive years, whether you're choosing to produce or have children, or whether, again, the choice is yours. But how can our partners, support us during that time? Because a lot of the times, again, like I mentioned earlier, everything is always been on the woman. Okay, yes, let's have sex. You're pregnant. Okay, fine. Now let's just have sex. You're not getting pregnant. Partner over here, whether, a guy or whatever the choice is, your spouse is, or partner is, that's your choice again. But how can they support? Because sometimes what I'm realizing is that, let's say for me, I may understand something one way, my partner may not. So then we're not on the same page, because I could be expecting my partner to understand, oh, you know what, this is why I have all these periods. Because sometimes they're not coming to appointments with us either. Given, some are work, just never a thing, oh, why am I coming with you? It's like, go by yourself, or is that like a norm then?
Right.
So how can couples support each other on this journey? Because again, I've seen or I've heard, like marriages or relationships or just unions are just falling apart because, again, we're not on the same page. We're not even in the same book.
Right.
Let alone pay.
Okay. So the first part is with partners. I'm sure that a lot of what you're going through is new to you. And if it's not, first, give your partner some grace if they don't understand. And this will be an opportunity to, number one, either learn together or just pull them in and sit them down to let them know, hey, this is what's going on. Like, this goes back to the we don't talk about it enough. You know, some of us were brought up, this is women's business. You just keep it to yourself. You just keep it. No, like, is it women's business when we're in the process of making a baby? No, that is two people. So guess what? You're going to sit down and you're going to learn, and you're going to know exactly what I'm going through right now. And if it is your choice or your desire and you have no interest, red flag.
Yep.
Red flag. So again, to all of the partners that are there and are stepping up, and some of these partners know more than the person going through.
I love when that happens.
Yeah, just get them involved. Let them be involved as much as they want to. Some of our partners want to be involved, and we don't let them because we're ashamed or
we're not having a conversation.
Exactly. So let them. When I do awareness brunches, when I do events, I like for it to be co-ed. I invite the men, partners, and everyone's aware that men will be there, just because we need to start inviting them into our spaces and letting them know that, hey, it's okay if you know about a period. It's okay if you know about the entire cycle. Why? Because it's very crucial for them to know that in order to be able to help us. Because if you're late, and a lot of times, you know, your partner's going to know you're late because, you know, they're going to be like, hey, you know, but, you know, let them in, let them help, and let them just be there for you, because this journey
it's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
We underestimate that.
Especially when the goal is having a baby. It's definitely tough. So let them in, let them come to the appointments, read books together. Listen, we're going to step into the 2020s. Watch a TikTok.
Okay.
Watch a YouTube video. Reach out to somebody that you trust. We used to have so many birth workers, so many doulas doing the work, so many midwives doing amazing work, and even OBGYNs doing amazing work, nurses. So reach out to somebody, and if it's a class or if it's whatever you know feel like you need, then do that. So involve them as much as possible.
No, I agree. And I have no better way than to end that episode on that note. But before we go, I need for you to tell us about the programs. Of course, we'll put everything in the show notes, but where people can find you, you know, what is it that you do? Because I know people listening, I can already see at least 3 people in my head that I know who are consistent listeners who could use your help, or just reaching out to you. You know, it could be a question. That's all.
Okay. So like I said, I help women heal their bodies without toxic hormones or expensive or painful treatments to preserve your fertility, whatever fertility is for you. Fertility could mean baby. Fertility could mean a book. Fertility could mean landing this new job. Fertility could mean moving to an island. Whatever your journey is preparing you to be fertile for, that is what I help you do. I help you heal to be able to bring that about. There's a mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual component. So I address all 3. That's what makes it really holistic. I also do functional medicine blood work analysis. So I'm looking at your lab work. So there's that traditional medicine piece. It's really like an intersection of traditional medicine, nursing, as well as holistic medicine. And I bridge the 2, bridge 3. And I have programs. Some people just want the blood work analysis, and I give it to you, and you can take it back to your doctor and say, hey, these things are happening and I need you to check. That's one service. You can couple that with programs. I have 6-month programs. I have 1-year programs. And so whatever your goal is, we talk about your goals, and then we just move into the program. And so I think it's really important to address mental and emotional and spiritual, because a lot of times, let's say you are eating what you need. Let's say your diet is where it needs to be, and you're moving and working out, or whatever the case may be. Those other 3 things, mental, emotional, spiritual, could be your roadblocks.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I love what I do. I also help individuals. So if you're not, you know, in that demographic of, you know, identifying as female with reproductive challenges or reproductive conditions, if you just want to decrease your stress, I work with individuals on that as well. So if you have, headaches or something, then I'll probably start with your labs to look at that. But you can find me on Instagram, channeling_chi. My business is Channeling Chi Health and Wellness. And so you can find me on Instagram at channeling_chi. For Facebook, I have a Channeling Chi Health and Wellness page. Tiffany Davis is the page that I mostly post to because I am like you, trying to incorporate my journey and, be very transparent with people and let you know I'm living it right along with you. So some days I'm, trying to just figure it out just like everybody else. And then I have a website. It's www.channelingchi.com.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. I'll be sure to put those in the show notes for sure. But before you go, I want you to tell us, because usually I do an affirmation of the week or whatever on the podcast, but I want you to tell me what is like one mantra or affirmation that you are relying on in this season or just in general? Because I have two that I follow like throughout. They're consistent with me. So what is one mantra affirmation?
Okay. One that I definitely use is I am grateful for waking up in a safe place, in gratitude, with all my faculties and all my basic needs met.
Ooh, I love that one.
That is the one. I start my day with that one. And I find that if I say that, then it's kind of like I have everything I need. I have everything I need. Yeah. So whatever comes up in the day, at the end of the day, you have your basic needs. So look it in the face and be like, let's go.
Say it again.
Let's go. Like, I'm ready.
Tell us again. I am great. Tell us that mantra again, the affirmation.
I am grateful for waking up in a safe space, in gratitude, with all my faculties and all my basic needs met. Ashe.
Hey, but I feel like you have another one you can give us too. I feel like there's another one inside. I just feel it.
Okay, so this one is just encompasses everything. I release my limiting beliefs and step into my inner purpose.
Ooh, Tiffany, now, honey, talk to me. Guys, on that note, there's no other way. Listen, I wish you guys could see me, but there's no other way for me to end this episode. Tiffany, I thank you so much. It's been a long time coming. The same energy that I had when we first met. Shout out to my editor, Rue, for putting us in contact. We got to give Rue a big shout out for that. But your energy then is the same and even more now. And I really, really am grateful. And of course, a lot of blessings your way. We're going to be in contact because, we got to get rid of this head situation. So we are definitely going to talk, but I can't wait for my listeners to hear this episode. I've been waiting, honestly, to record this episide. I'm going to be honest, coming into this episode, my mindset, my energy, my mood wasn't the greatest because I'm going through some going through, but again, like I said, your energy is just so powerful. And so it transferred to me. So I really want to thank you for boosting that energy because I think I'm going to take it into the week now, honestly speaking. So I have you to credit for that. So definitely want to thank you. And hope to have you back soon.
Of course, anytime. Thank you, everyone, and happy healing to everybody.
Yes. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Tea with Tanya. If you like this episode, be sure to share it with a friend. Don't forget to follow on Instagram at Tea with Tanya Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the weekly Tea Talk newsletter. And of course, rate on Apple or Spotify and subscribe wherever you listen. See you next time. I love you for listening.